Accessing library computer data.
Hello and welcome to my review/overview of the animated faction pack, which finally came out after over a year-long delay from the original release date, as I think it was supposed to come out in April of 2018, and when it came out in August of 2019. As with the other faction packs, there are 4 ships here with the U.S.S. Enterprise, and then 3 D7s, with 2 of them being Klingon and the other being Romulan. I like that the animated series has finally been brought into the game, as at best of times, the series have kind of been wishy-washy in terms of it actually being considered canon. While I don't think the series has been fully considered canon, certainly some components and storylines and characters stuff like that have been integrated more and more recently. The effect and captain tokens also stand out and make for some striking components on the board that really pop compared to the rest of the components, as they're very bright, as most of the other components are fairly on the dark side. While the cards themselves are not as dark as the board faction pack cards, the upgrade slots are still pretty dark compared to the rest of the cards, especially the crew upgrade. I find it almost hard to tell that it is actually a crew upgrade without looking really close at it. But without further ado, let's take a look at the components in the pack. So what comes in the pack? Well, there are 4 models in the pack with 1 Constitution class and 3 D7 models. There's also 1 Constitution dial and 3 D7 dials. There is another repaint of the Constitution class model, which kind of matches the Kelvin Constitution class with some of the addition of the black spots on the saucer and kind of that grayish overall paint job. There are some black spots on the saucers above the impulse engines. It also has some gold on the Bussard collectors and a reflector dish with some black and yellow colors for windows on the secondary hull. The D7 ships are similar to the color in the Warbirds again from the Kelvin faction pack, with a dark silver base with some greenish gold highlights, and then with some red on the impulse engines and a colored Klingon symbol on the bottom of the ship. It is on all 3, even though I guess you wouldn't really know if it was Romulan or not, but it is on all 3. There's also a U.S.S. Enterprise / Federation starship template, an I.K.S. Klothos / Klingon starship template, an I.K.S. Divisor / Klingon starship template, and an I.R.W. Talon / Romulan starship template. For captains, there are 2 James T. Kirk ID tokens, 2 Robert April ID tokens, 2 Kor ID tokens, 2 Koloth ID tokens, and 2 Larus ID tokens. There are also a number of effect tokens, with 3 for the I.K.S. Divisor, 1 for Robert April, Larus, Mr. Spock, and the Vendorian Spy. There's also a +2 Admiral ID token, 9 shield tokens, 6 love crystal tokens, and a reference card for the love crystal tokens. There are 2 missions, the Practical Joker and the Assault on Koloth 4. So now that we've covered what comes in the faction pack, let's take a look at the upgrades. The first ship in the pack is the U.S.S. Enterprise, which again is a Constitution class ship with 3 attack, 1 agility, 4 hull, and 3 shields, and a primary 180-degree firing arc. Same slot layout as the other U.S.S. Enterprise Constitution class ship, with 1 weapon slot and 4 crew slots. Standard action bar of evade, target lock, scan, and battle stations for 20 points, good for a 2-point reduction from the previous U.S.S. Enterprise. Action: repair up to 3 shields on the ship. I'm still a little disappointed they have not changed the Constitution Enterprise to include a native tech slot, as there are some really good Federation tech now. But there are some options to get a tech slot on the ship, such as systems upgrade, to use a weapon slot, or Eric Mott's. I really like the ability to restore all the ship's native shields with a single action, and if you equip a free action captain like Picard 9 or Spock 6, you can still get some quality on your dice and take the ship's action. It's a bit more of a defensive ship than perhaps the original one, which lets you perform another action even if you have auxiliary power. This also pairs well with the Elite Talent Legacy of the Name in this pack, so you can perform the ship's action as a free action every 3rd turn. I probably like both of them the same, again, for different reasons. Next up is the generic Constitution class, which always loses a shield, the ability. It also loses 2 crew slots for 16 points for a 4-point reduction. As I mentioned before, I don't mind the generic Constitution class, as it still has the 2 crew slots and weapon slot to add something like Type 8 or upgraded phasers, but I do not see a big reason to play the generic, as there are cheaper fighter carriers out there, and for the ability, extra shield and the 2 crew slots are probably worth the extra points you want to pay to upgrade to a named U.S.S. Enterprise or one of the other named Constitution classes. The maneuver dial is pretty generic, with a red 2 reverse, 4 white straight, and hard turns at 2 and 3, with the 3 turn being red. The ship is still decently maneuverable, especially with the 180-degree firing arc, and the 2 hard turns being white. Not the fastest ship with only a 4 straight, but it's a good dial. The first Klingon D7 is the I.K.S. Klothos, which has a 3 attack, 1 agility, 3 hull, and 2 shields, and a 490-degree primary firing arc, with 1 tech, 1 weapon, and 1 crew upgrade, with the standard cloaking action bar of evade, target lock, cloak, and sensor echo for 16 points, which is a decent 2-point discount from the previous named D7s. When attacking, if this ship is cloaked, this ship rolls +1 attack die this attack. When attacking, if this ship is not within the primary fire arc of the defending ship, convert one battle station into a critical on all other battle stations it hits. This is an absolutely amazing ability as long as you're not in the primary fire rank of your opponent that you're targeting, as it essentially gives you a free battle station action with the added bonus of one of the conversions going to a critical. If you're in the primary fire rank, then it's still a decent ability as you get that +1 attack die if you're cloaked. And I like that it has one of each upgrade slot, as do most of the other D7s, to give you that flexibility when you're building. This may be just my favorite D7. I think D7s as a whole still struggle with playability, just in terms of they only have the 5 durability naturally. But they're certainly really good in a TOS era game. The generic Klingon D7 loses a shield at the tech slot in the ability, and interestingly switches the cloak and sensor echo for battle station for 11 points instead of the original 16 points, which it desperately needed for any sort of playability. I really do not like the generic Klingon D7 in this pack with only the 1 shield and 3 hull. You desperately need the cloak to have some sort of chance of actually dodging anything, and it loses the native tech slot to potentially add one without some sort of slot conversion. I really can't see a reason to play the generic Klingon D7 from this pack other than in a massive swarm fleet. The maneuver dial for the D7 is pretty good, the only red maneuver being the 3 combout. Otherwise it has the white 4 straight and hard turns that are white at 2 and 3, which makes for a pretty maneuverable ship. The second Klingon D7 in this pack is the I.K.S. Divisor with the same stats and upgrade slot as the Klothos, but does not have the cloak or sensor echo action. Instead, those are replaced with the battle station action. When attacking, if the defending ship performed a maneuver with a speed of 3 or greater this game round, add 1 critical. I do not like this ship as much as the Klothos, as it lacks the cloaking ability, which is an interesting subtraction for me, but it is one of the very few Klingon ships with the native battle stations. As for the ability, I don't mind it, but it's not nearly as good again as the Klothos, as it is based on your opponent's maneuver if you're able to add the critical to your attack die. Although I really like that it has a native battle station, but with only 5 durability without the cloaking ability, it is not going to last very long without some help. You can get a cloaking device on this ship, but it's very expensive. I don't think I'd ever run this ship, as there are so many Klingon upgrades that need the ship to be cloaked to activate their abilities, and I really don't feel like putting the points in to actually get it to cloak, and the ship is just not as good as the Klothos. The second Klingon generic D7 is exactly the same as the first. The maneuver dial is the same. The Romulan D7 is the I.R.W. Talon, which has the same stats, slot layout, and action bar as the Klothos. Before the ship reveals its maneuver dial, if the ship is cloaked, perform a white 1 left bank, straight or right bank, or a sensor echo action as a free action. I always like getting extra maneuverability out of my ships, and this provides a very good way to get into a better fire arc or out of range without needing to take an action as long as you're cloaked, especially since you have the same ability as Admiral Force, but with the choice of performing a free sensor echo action. The ship works nicely with Larus Captain that comes in this pack if you perform the sensor echo action to add a battle station and roll +1 attack die. I also think that skill 5 Levana Travarnik works with the ship to cloak, perform a sensor echo action on turns after you fire to add just even more maneuverability options with this ship. I'm not sure how often any of these D7s will be running competitive play just due to their durability, but the Klothos and Talon are very good in a TOS era game. The generic Romulan D7 is exactly the same as the Klingon generic D7s, except for the fact that this does not lose the cloak and sensor echo action. I would much prefer to run this one, as a lot of the Klingon and Romulan upgrades require you to be cloaked to actually use them. I probably wouldn't use any of the generic D7s as they're just not enough durability, but at least this one can cloak to give you a bit better chance of evading. There are no changes to the Romulan D7 for maneuverability. The first captain in this pack is James D. Kirk, who is a skill A captain with an elite talent slot and costs 5 points. Action: place a scan token or a battle station token beside the ship and perform the action of a crew upgrade equipped to the ship as a free action. I really like this version of Kirk, and is probably one of the better ones for me. I also love cards that give free actions, and this Kirk allows you to perform a scan or battle station and then action of a crew upgrade for free. I think it's really good with someone like Sulu from the Tiny Price to get that extra defense dice and quality, Federation Helmsman to get some extra maneuvers, Leonard McCoy to remove disable tokens from your other crew upgrades, or any number of crew that require an action. I really like this version of James T. Kirk, and will certainly be a consideration as a staple in my Federation ships. Robert April is the second captain in the pack, who is also skill 8 with an elite talent slot and costs 5 points. If this card is equipped to a Constitution class ship, add 1 to this captain's captain skill. Action: target a crew upgrade equipped to this ship. Move all time tokens from the target crew upgrade to this card. If that crew upgrade has an action, you may perform that action as a free action. I think this is an interesting ability that allows you to perform the ability of a crew upgrade again that has time tokens on it. For crew cards that have time tokens and they're also an action, they're not many. The only one I could actually find was Gigas, that places time tokens and is also an action, and he would be 4 points on a Federation ship. So unless they're going to add more options with the next faction packs, you're really going to use the first part of his ability, which is still very useful. So you can use that crew card again. I do like that he goes to Skill 9 on a Constitution class ship, which is very thematic as he's one of the designers and driving force for the construction of the class. So it kind of makes sense that he would gain a bit of a boost there. I also like they used the picture for his younger version on the captain's side, and then his older self for the admiral side. So on the flip side, you have the admiral, which loses the bonus to his captain skill, is a fleet action, and gives you +2 to the captain skill and costs 4 points. I think I like April better as an admiral as he gives you that +2 to the captain skill and the option to move time tokens, which I think is more useful when it can be used on any other ship, in addition to the one that he's equipped to. Again, I can only find Gigas that actually use time tokens in action, but he's still, again, useful for the first part just to move time tokens from crew onto him. The first Klingon captain is Kor, who is a skillet captain with an elite talent slot and costs 5 points. When attacking, if this ship is cloaked, place 2 time tokens on this card. This ship rolls +1 attack die this attack, and this ship's cloak token does not flip this attack. If this card is equipped to a Klingon ship, also add +1 hit. This is a great Captain Kor that is useful on any cloak ship that not only gives you an attack bonus, but you also do not flip your cloak token. And if he is on a Klingon ship, he also gives that additional hit. He's a great captain on any ship that can cloak, with a special bonus to any Klingon ship that can also cloak. He is a great captain that I look forward to using. The second Klingon captain is Koloth, who is a skill 7 captain with a elite talent slot and costs 4 points. When attacking, place 2 time tokens on this card. The defending ship must disable a captain or crew upgrade equipped to the defending ship. If they cannot, place an auxiliary power token beside the defending ship. An interesting ability to be able to disable your opponent's captain or crew when attacking the ship, which could be useful to disable someone like Hoodriker or Tiny Price Sulu to hamper your opponent's ability to defend, or any number of useful crew or captains that they need to activate combos on their ship. If they do not have one to disable, then you could potentially hamper their moon movement or action economy the following turn. I think he can certainly be a useful Klingon captain that I look forward to trying out. The last captain in this pack is also the only Romulan captain, who is Larus, who is a skill 7 captain with an elite talent slot and costs 4 points. Combat phase. If this ship performed a sense or echo action this game round, place a battle station token beside this ship, and the ship rolls +1 attack die this game round. Larus can be really used effectively on a ship such as Sealess Warbird to be able to perform that second sensor echo to get in a better position with the addition of a battle station and additional attack die, as the Dare decks can certainly use it. Another ship that I can potentially see him is being on the Vort of War, which will allow you to perform a sensor echo action as a free action. If you did a Green maneuver, then you activate Larus. He's also very useful on the D7 Talon that comes in this pack. He's certainly a really good Romulan captain, I think, and another one that I look forward to using from this pack, as they're all pretty good. And now on to the crew. The first crew is Mr. Spock, who's a unique crew that costs 4 points. Combat phase. Discard this card and spend a scan token beside this ship. This ship's attack cannot be cancelled this game round, and this ship cannot be prevented from attacking this game round. I can't say this is my favorite version of Mr. Spock, but with some of the attack cancelling cards out there, this is a way to make sure that your attack goes through. I don't love that as a discard. Maybe some time tokens would have been sufficient. And you have to spend a scan token. I still like the Spock versions from the Tiny Prize and Captain Spock better than this one, but I can see how he would be useful. Next up, we have the first card for Christine Chapel, who's a unique Federation crew that costs 3 points. Planning phase. Disable this card or place 3 time tokens on this card and target a crew upgrade equipped to the ship. Remove 1 disable token or all time tokens from the target crew upgrade. We finally get a Christine Chapel card, but for her ability, she follows in a similar vein to most of the doctors in this game to remove disabled or time tokens from other crew members on the ship. But I don't think it's the best doctor to run. Phlox or the doctor lets you remove all disabled tokens from your crew upgrades. McCoy, for an action, you can remove 2 disabled tokens, which is a little bit better action economy, especially when combined with Kirk from this pack. But I do like the flexibility that is either disabled or time tokens to remove from your other crew. And then you can either choose to place time tokens or disabled token on her, based on what other cards you have. Another new crew member is Emrys, who is a unique Federation crew that costs 3 points. When a battle station token is placed beside the ship, remove a disabled token from a crew upgrade equipped to the ship. I really wonder if they considered that this card essentially breaks battle stations 7 to 9, as you disable 7 to 9 to place a battle station token beside your ship, and then because of Emrys, you get to immediately remove that disabled token. So for 7 points and 2 crew slots on a Federation ship to perform a battle station action as a free action every turn. I really can see myself using the card, especially with 7 to 9 on some of my more offensive Federation builds. 7 points is a bit expensive, but if you have the points to allocate, it's certainly a really good combo to use. The last new Federation crew upgrade is Arex, who's unique and costs 2 points. When the ship reveals its maneuver dial, disable this card. Rotate the ship's maneuver dial to a white or green maneuver of the same speed as the maneuver revealed and perform that maneuver instead. I certainly like Arex as a better version of someone like Uhura or Maxwell 7, as he costs 1 less point than Uhura or 2 points less than Maxwell and does not discard himself. His options are a little bit more limited as you cannot change your maneuver to a red maneuver, but I think the point cost difference and the disable instead of a discard is well worth the less options when choosing your maneuver, and depending on the ship it might not even matter as some do not have the red maneuver on their dial. Not someone you're going to want every time, but I think can be useful to change your maneuver, again to stay in range, or if you miscalculate a maneuver when trying to get an objective or something else like that. The last Federation crew is Montgomery Scott, who costs 3 points and is unique. Action, disable this card. Repair up to 1 shield and 1 hull in the ship. I do not think that I'm a huge fan of this card, as based on previous rulings and how this card is worded, you would have to repair 1 shield and 1 hull, so your ship would have taken quite a bit of damage to be able to use this card. Plus it's an action and a disable, so it's quite action economy heavy. I do appreciate the only cost 3 points, as he definitely would have costed 5 points at the start of the game, so that is nice, but I cannot say that I ever see myself using this card. The first Klingon crew upgrade in the pack is Kali, who is unique, must be equipped to a Klingon ship and costs 3 points. Action, discard this card and target an opposing ship within range 1. Look at all face down damage cards beside the target ship's ship card. Flip one of those damage cards face up and resolve its effect if applicable. I can see this card being useful against larger hulled ships, or when you want to use a weapon like Magnetic Pulse that deal a hull damage, so you can use this card to essentially turn it into a critical. I can't say that I'll be using this card a ton, but I can see it being useful on ships that deal hits to the hull to make it hurt just that much more to be able to turn one of them into a critical. The second Klingon crew is Kaz, who is a unique crew that must be equipped to a Klingon ship and costs 2 points. When a Klingon crew upgrade equipped to this ship or another friendly ship within range would be discarded by an opposing effect, you may discard this card instead. A decent way to protect your crew from being discarded by someone like Second of 5, but I think that since he only protects Klingon crew and his range is limited to range 1, I don't see him being super playable to me, as I do not really play Klingon and I find the ability kind of limiting. He can be useful in some circumstances, but I doubt he'll see a ton of play. The only Romulan crew upgrade is Vendorian Spy, who is unique and costs 4 points. Activation phase. Target a crew upgrade equipped to a friendly ship within range 1 to 2. This card becomes a copy of the target crew. Upgrade this game round. There are a number of useful crew that are worth copying to use some extra defense die, quality dice, and Vendorian Spy is a point cheaper than Odo. He has a more restrictive range restriction than Odo, but it's still a very useful crew upgrade for the Romulans, to get some battle stations, any number of crew that are useful to copy, really. The last crew in the pack is Harcourt Fentun Mudd, who is a unique independent crew that costs 3 points. You do not pay a faction penalty for this card. Planning phase, disable this card and target an opposing ship. Place a love crystal token on 2 crew upgrades equipped to the opposing ship. So I think to discuss whether you want to use Harcourt Fentun Mudd or not, you need to discuss what love crystals do. But I do really like that we finally got one of these cards, as he is quite a prominent character in the original series and it appears in an animated series episode. So it's good that we finally got one. But what do love crystals do? When a crew upgrade with a love crystal token becomes disabled, the player who placed that love crystal token on that crew upgrade chooses and disables another crew upgrade with a love crystal token equipped to the same ship. When a crew upgrade with a love crystal token is discarded, the player who placed that love crystal token on that crew upgrade chooses and discards another crew upgrade with a love crystal token equipped to the same ship. When a crew upgrade with a love crystal token has 1 or more time tokens placed on it, the player who placed that love crystal token on that crew upgrade chooses another crew upgrade with a love crystal token equipped to the same ship and places the same amount of time tokens on it. So essentially, love crystals can really mess with their opponent's crew. That essentially ties the actions of 2 crew upgrades on the same ship together. So whatever happens to one happens to the other, whether it's a disable, discard, or time tokens. While I do not think this will be a super competitive card, it can certainly be a lot of fun in some less competitive games that cause some serious havoc and really brings the character of Mudd from the show into the game. The first elite talent is Legacy of the Name, which is a Federation elite talent that must be equipped to a Federation ship with a Federation captain, limited to 1 per ship and costs 3 points. It can only be equipped to a unique ship. Free action. Place 3 time tokens on this card. Perform a battle station action or an evade action as a free action. If this card is equipped to a ship with Enterprise in its name, you may perform any available action as a free action instead. An elite talent that I can actually see myself using. I do not mind this card or on named ships in general, being able to perform a free evade or battle station action every 3 turns. But this card really shines when it's on one of the Enterprise ships, especially on the refit Constitution. Actually take advantage of the ship's ability and gain that extra attack dice, while still being able to take another action for a battle station or a target lock to get the quality on those extra dice. I also like that it does not cost 5 points, like most elite talents seem to cost. I do wish there were more of these thematic cards in the older packs, as it helps bring some life for me to the ships that you were flying. It's not my favorite elite talent, but it is certainly one I can see myself using. The other elite talent is Worthy Opponent, which is limited to 1 per ship, must be equipped to a Klingon ship with a Klingon captain, and costs 3 points. When defending, while there's at least 1 damage card beside the ship's ship card, discard this card. Convert all the attacking ship's hits, criticals, and battle stations into blanks. A nice thematic card for the Klingons, which again brings some of the characteristics from the show into the game. It's certainly a nice and cheap attack cancellation when you have some damage to your ship, as it converts your opponent's entire attack roll into blanks. A really nice Klingon elite talent that is not complete trash, which is surprisingly hard to find in their elite talents. So it's certainly one worth using. Probably a bit more useful again on some of the larger hull ships, as with the D7s they only have the 3 hull, so you may not even survive. The first weapon is Magnetic Pulse, which is a Klingon weapon that is limited to 1 per ship, must be fired from the primary firing arc, and costs 5 points. The attack value of this weapon is the ship's printed primary weapon value. Attack. Disable 1 active shield on this ship and target an opposing ship within range 2 to 3. If this weapon is equipped to a D7 class ship, this ship rolls +2 attack dice. All criticals that would damage a shield on the defending ship inflict 1 hit to the defending ship's hull instead. A weapon that, while can go on other ships, should really only be equipped to a D7 class ship, as it's the only way to get that extra attack die. Plus, if you can combine it with Today is a Good Day to Die, to really make sure that you get that hull damage on your opponent's hull. Other possibilities would be to cross-faction with Torith. So as long as you get that 1 hit, then you get a critical, which then converts back to a hit on your opponent's hull. Martok 7 and Con 8 are other options to ensure a critical hit. A really good weapon on D7, which greatly benefits from the 5 attack dice that this weapon can give it. The second weapon is another copy of Magnetic Pulse. I like the addition of another copy, as this pack comes with 2 Klingon D7s, so you can run 1 on each of the ships, or you can cross-faction onto the Romulan D7, but it's a useful weapon on any of the D7s. Next up is Disruptor Blast, which is an attack value of 3, must be fired from the primary firing arc, is dual faction Klingon and Romulan, and costs 3 points. Attack. Place 3 time tokens on this card and target an opposing ship at range 1 to 2. Make this attack twice against the defending ship. If this ship is a D7 class, you may convert 1 blank result into a battle station during each attack. Another weapon that I really like for some of the lower attack value Klingon and Romulan ships, and again really benefits the D7 class to be able to convert a blank into a battle station to at least get some quality on your dice. And then to get a battle station on the D7, you could use Picard 8 from the 2017 starter, or Gowron 5 to get 1 or 2 battle station tokens beside the ship with this weapon. I think that I really like Magnetic Pulse more, but I think this could still be a very viable weapon, especially on the D7. The last weapon and card in the pack is Full Power Phaser Barrage, which is a unique Federation weapon that costs 5 points and must be fired from the primary firing arc. The attack value of this weapon upgrade is the ship's printed primary weapon value. Attack. Place 3 time tokens on this card and an auxiliary power token beside the ship. If this weapon is equipped to a Constitution class ship, the ship rolls +2 attack dice. During the deal damage step, if there's at least 2 uncancelled hits or criticals, roll 3 additional attack dice and add all hits or criticals to the attack roll. So I think this card really shines on the Constitution class ship, as you get that additional +2 attack dice and then an additional 3 dice roll if you get at least 2 uncancelled hits or criticals. I'm unsure if you're able to get quality on those additional dice. So if you are, then someone like Janeway on the original Enterprise to get the 2 battle station tokens to use on both of the rolls. Also good to pair with Chekhov to clear the auxiliary token with most maneuvers on the next turn, or auxiliary power grid to not take the token in the first place. So I think this is a good weapon on the Constitution class ship. It's an okay weapon on any other class of ship. As on the Constitution class, you can potentially get any attack dice with this attack. Thank you very much for watching my review/overview of the Faction Pack, the animated series. This pack is a lot of fun. While not as competitive as the Borg Faction Pack, there's still a lot here that is especially useful in TOS era games, where especially the D7 is a lot more competitive ship. While I don't think this pack is a must-buy, it is certainly one that I recommend buying, especially if you're a Federation or Klingon player, as there are some useful upgrades in this pack for them. If you disagree with me on a card, or can find a different or better use for a card, be sure to let me know in the comments. You can find me on Facebook at the Arex channel, where you can find some custom cards created by me and other Star Trek Attack Wing related content. You can help to support the channel and assisting me in making more content by donating on Patreon. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like this video. Thank you very much, and I shall see you next time.